Okay. Um, okay. I hope that you're all out there. Sorry it has taken so long. Um, I also think that there is a bit of a time lag as well. So if you're here, put something in the chat just so that I know you're there. Okay. I hope that you're all out there. Sorry it has taken so long. I also think that there is a bit of a time lag as well. So if you're here, put something in the chat just so that I know you're there. Yeah, just I will be looking a little bit gormless as I get used to this. Just I will be looking a little bit gormless as I get used to this. Okay. Right. Okay. As it's quiet at the moment, I'm going to take this time to get acquainted with what this looks like. It's quiet at the moment. I'm going to take this time to get acquainted with what this looks like. Take this time, time to get acquainted with. Okay. So, what I am planning to do with YouTube generally is just to have it as something to break up newsletters and things like that, and tell you a bit more about what I'm working on, just because it's a little bit more interactive than usual. So what I'm planning to do it's with really generally a bit of an experiment to, in a sense, it as something to break up newsletters and things like that, be a bit more interactive and get to know you all a bit better. A bit more about what I'm working on, just because it's a little bit more interactive than usual. So it's really a bit of an experiment to, in a sense, it as something to break up newsletters and things like that, be a bit more interactive and get to know you all a bit better. Yeah. No. This is also a bit weird because I can't really see much about what is going on, and the time delay is a little bit distracting. But never mind. I'll get through it. This is also a bit weird because I can't really see much about what is going on, and the time delay is a little bit distracting. But never mind. Right. All right, I will just keep talking. So, one of the things that I put in my last newsletter was a design that I was working on for Patty Lyons' upcoming Affinity event. And it's going to be a tank top, just keep talking. A new design. So one of the things that I put, so I'll just show you that in my last newsletter, was a design not quite that I was working on because well, some of you will know that I injured my thumb fairly recently, and so it means that I can't really knit. So, yeah, this is it so far. It's missing a neckband and arm bands and stuff because I couldn't quite get that finished. But yeah, I'm happy with it. One of the things that I really like about it is some dart shaping here at the front, which is really, really lovely. It's at the front and the back, and the darts are fully customizable. So really looking forward to seeing how that goes. If you're coming to Affinity, you'll get to see it first, but it will be out in the wild in general later on, probably this year, I think. It depends on how it goes. So there is lace at the moment, that variation, and that's the one that I agreed on with Tammy. Person I'm designing it with, my yarn partner, is Tammy from Wing and a Prayer Farm up in Vermont. And I've used her Elmer and Louise yarn for this, which has been dyed with marigolds to create that lovely gold colour. And we've just, very much a collaborative effort. So we will have the lace one first, and then I'm also thinking that I'll do a plain knit version as well. Same kind of shaping, but just stocking stitch instead of the lace. So that is coming. One of the many, many things that I have got on my plate at the moment. And I'm just going to check the chat quickly. I can see a notification. Same kind of hi Ola. Stocking stitch instead of lovely to see you. I'm really glad you could make it. So yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's probably yeah. I don't think I've got too much more to say about the design, as it were. I think it's in double knit and it's oh, I do have more to say. It's in double knit and it's top down. So what we're doing is starting at the shoulders with a provisional cast on, and then we're going to work the back and the front separately. You would get the option to work it in the round after the armhole point, but for me, knitting that sample thus far, it was a lot easier to do the front and back separately, just so that I could concentrate more on the dart placement and fitting. So it's completely customizable. You just need your shoulder to shoulder bone measurements to get this, and the rest of it is just dependent on your own body measurements to fit it. So it's a bit of an experiment, really. It's taken me a while to wrap my head around this because the format of the hats is going to be very different from anything else that I have done. So in terms of schematics and things like that, there isn't really going to be so much of that to share, but there is obviously guidance for placing the darts and styling the darts, and the joy of getting to teach it at Affinity next month, my goodness, it was really close, is that I can then bring in the stuff that I would get to do if I was teaching a class in real life, and I haven't done too much of that since before lockdown. It reminds me of the intermediate advanced garment construction course that I used to do when I was in adult education. I used to love just draping fabric on people, because when you fit something, it's really hard to see yourself in 360. I'm sure if you've tried it before, it's difficult. Even if you take photographs of yourself and whatnot, it is not easy. Whereas if you can see someone else and you've got other people watching you and giving you that interactive feedback, it's much, much easier, and the learning is that much more impactful and profound. And the thing is that you need that kind of engagement really with clothes making, because you can do all the research you like in books and on YouTube and things, but those resources are never going to give you the same kind of commitment that you give them when you're diligently working through them. So it's a really good opportunity, I think, for anyone who's coming up. And if you're coming, I hope you're excited, because I am nervous but excited. And yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be really impactful. I'm going to be taking fabrics off and drape it, bringing lots of ideas, illustrations. So there's lots of opportunities for personal styling and whatnot within this design. And I feel like that's what it should be when you make your own clothes anyway. The patterns that you have are just starting points. You know, you're going to pick the yarn you want, you're going to pick the color. And so it makes sense that you can then manipulate the styling features the way that you want to. Otherwise, you know, you may as well go to the shop. I mean, don't mean it horribly, but that's just how I feel. You're making it yourself. And so, you know, that's a big deal about making your own clothes. Yeah. And so it makes sense that you can yeah, gonna pop on the chat and little notifications. Oh, hello, Joanne. Oh, that's just the idea. You're making it yourself. And so good to see you. That's a big deal about making your own clothes. Yeah. Yeah. So it makes sense. Oh, yeah. I'm actually I'm really glad that there is it's quite small at the moment. I have not really been able to eat very much today. And I think with the tech and things like that, I had an idea of how we're going to do it. And there was option A and option B. I thought option A was too complicated. YouTube lulled me into a full sense of security with option B, and it failed me, hence the late start. So I will see how this one goes with Zoom and whatnot, to be honest. It also means that I can do things like share screen in future, which is really nice. So I might try to do that actually. If you're all up. Oh, is it just you? Oh, feedback, Paula. Oh, sorry. I hope not. Um, oh, hmm. I lost your. Uh-oh. Oh dear. Oh dear. What have I done? Hmm. Have I ruined things? Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Did I lose you all? Oh, sorry about the tech. Um, oh gosh. Yeah, I know all I would rather know about the background noise. Absolutely. Yikes. Okay. Oh, thank you, Ola. Oh my goodness me. Um, I think it's just as well maybe I didn't plan too much and treated it like it was a bit more of a lesson, to be honest. I think I might have cried. But anyway, ooh, there is tea in here. I kind of wish it was something else. Um, all right, Joanne, I could hear what you're saying, although now you're not. Okay, great. Okay, okay. Oh my goodness, this is not easy at all. My goodness. Not that I expected it to be a walk in the park, but yeah. Anyway, right, yeah, I am back. So that is a relief. Um, okay. So I might experiment a little bit with the share screen if you don't mind, Orla and Joanne. Just because in for a penny, in for a pound. So I'll show you something else that I'm working on. Um, just a couple of sewing bits and pieces actually. So um, I know you both know this, but anyone else who doesn't, I also teach garment construction and sewing classes, and I just alluded to it with talking about the tank top a little while ago. But yeah, I also do that. And one of the things that I have been doing pretty quietly is looking at creating digital products around those. So what I'm going to do is just give you a little preview by way of showing you what I'm working on and also testing whether this stuff works. Because if I can really do share screen like I often do with Zoom classes as usual, then this could be fun. I say could be fun. But yes. So let's try the share screen now. Go for it. Love it. Joanne, I'm going to give you a massive hug when we meet in person. This your cheerleading is amazing. Um, okay, let's do the screen share. Let's do that. So, okay, so I'm working on about four-ish. One of them is a glossary, which is not going to be particularly interesting to show on screen. This first one is on alterations rather than if I can speak, garment construction. And it's a technique about how to grade the pattern up and down the size. This should be appearing on the screen. Yeah, nowish. Yeah, okay. I hope you can see that. And yeah, I'm just putting it in here. So this is a tutorial that I made for a past student. This is like way back when, 2010s, when patterns were not so size inclusive. Talking about sewing patterns particularly now, although I know that pertains to knitting patterns as well. And I created a tutorial for her between lessons. And it's been on my mind to create a resource like this, even though I know that there are plenty of blog posts and what have you that you can learn this from. But what I really wanted to do, I hope I'm not scrolling too quickly, is talk a little bit about the maths involved, the differential calculus that you use for grading. And it's also called differentiation, but differential calculus is the full thing. But yeah, so I thought that would be a good opportunity to explain that because often when you get tutorials like this in the wild, they depend on the nested sizes in the pattern being pretty uniform, which is not always the case, obviously, because, well, depending on how the size chart is generated and what have you. You'll have different increments between certain sizes. So you might have, for example, like a smaller gap between the smaller sizes, a medium one between the ones in the middle of the range, and then so on and so forth, pertaining to how the body grows throughout the range. But and this could be me going a little bit too far with the nerdy stuff with the maths. I've sorry if it is, but I could not help myself. It's the kind of thing I love digging into. And sometimes with so-called maths, just because it's numbers doesn't mean it's maths. It's more the kind of patterns that you're looking for. And you can kind of like wing it in this way. But I thought if I explain the maths behind it, at least you know, or people will know. And then they can decide if they want to get stuck into it or not. But yeah, it was a really interesting thing to put together because obviously I'm hoping that people don't use it to do like naughty grading when they should be doing things professionally or, getting up to mischief. It's really definitely for personal use because when you grade patterns, it's obviously more complex than that. But in terms of the ones that are out of print, or or it's not cost effective, which it isn't really, for designers or companies to go back and revise their whole back catalogue. This is something that I'm hoping is going to bridge that gap because you know what these things are. They're just kind of like moments in time. This was how it was then, and you can't undo the past. But I feel like that, by sharing knowledge like that, and giving people access to it, they can then just have a bit more control over the clothes that they make, really. I mean, and that's what it's all about. I mean, size inclusivity is a big deal. Obviously, you need to have something that you can physically get into before you start customizing, because that's one part of it. But I kind of feel that this is part of the whole conversation around altering patterns. And I know that some people would rather alter patterns than draft their own, even though I know I'm biased, I'm a pattern cutter. Drafting your own is often the more efficient option, just building it up rather than hacking into something that's there. But it is you kind of need to be good at pattern cutting in and of itself to be good at altering patterns. It's a way to get started altering patterns, but the more complex they are, um, and the more you kind of want to put your creative stamp on things, the more it makes sense to do some creative pattern cutting. So, yeah, I have some ideas around that, but I'm going to test the water with that resource just to begin with and see how that goes for people, if they like it or if they want more of it, less of it, whatnot. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I think I probably have about seven of those things in total to create, and I think I have four which are more or less there now. And I think if my thumb hadn't been mashed up by a hockey ball last week, I might be a bit closer to getting them in the shop. But such is life. So yeah, the thumb isn't bad. I can use the mouse, but I can't grip things tightly. I can't knit or write, which is annoying because those are two of my favorite things to do. But anyway, so um, all right. So what else? I'll show you another one. These ones are a lot longer. I'll tell you that now. So I will whiz through them pretty quickly, possibly more quickly than I did that last one on grading. So here we go. I'm going to go for another screen share. Brace yourselves. Um, yep. Okay. So this one is, as you can see, Beginner's Guide to Dress Fabrics and Sewing Patterns. And this one is just, again, sort of me being over the shoulder and just trying to be what I would be to my students were I still teaching classes. So stuff about, fabrics to choose. I'll just go to the contents page because this one, it was actually worth making one for. It's not a straight photo tutorial, but you've just got here things like understanding and preparing fabric, beginner-friendly fabrics, fabric grain direction and nap, basic types of weaves, napped, piled and patterned fabrics, fabric handle, pattern symbols, labeling information on pattern pieces, cutting layouts or lay plans, interfacings and interlinings, and handling fabrics with the sewing machine. Gosh, my goodness. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be this big. Even funnier is that I really thought that I could put this, the next one, and the glossary all in one PDF, which is absolutely bonkers. But I am an eyes bigger than stomach kind of person. So I'll just whip through this just so that you can get an idea from the headings and whatnot. So I've done some digital illustrations and taken some photographs. but try to make it as presentable and accessible as possible. It's just something that I'm imagining people will just shove down the sides of the sewing machine, so to speak, just because you want to have certain things right there with you. You don't want to have them that they're too big, or like a massive book, and things like that. So it's just things that are about, say, 40-ish pages, I think, roughly. That's what they are. So it's not going to be a huge amount double-sided. It's just really, you know, something you can dip into based on what kind of things you need to know most. So lots of practical information, and sometimes you have to just sort of sift through books to get that. But this is just pulled out from what I've found most helpful and what past students of mine have found helpful, and just trying to distill that into one document where everything you need is to hand. So that's the second one. I'm going to have a look. It sounds perfect. Oh, yay, sounds perfect. I hope your thumb gets better. Oh, thank you, Joanne. It's nearly its normal size. Um, it was about twice its normal size last week, Wednesday, when it got hit. But this is what you get for practicing with the men. Um, so the club I go to, I'm relatively new to hockey. I played it a little bit in school, just like for a year, and that's all obviously going to be quite soft because I was about 12. But yeah, so the practice is always very skewed in favour of men to women. And last week I was the only woman there at the club. So normally they're really nice. They just hit it to me gently and all that stuff because, well, what can you? They're quite gentlemanly, even though hockey is a very violent game, as I am learning. But decided to go to a half court game, and I just thought, okay, I'll try to keep up. Let's just see what happens, and I did, and it was painful. So, yeah. Um, so yeah, but they are lovely, lovely guys, really lovely guys. And they did one of them did check up. They did check up on me the day after because yeah, they knew they saw what happened. But yeah, it's definitely something to bear in mind. I think there are a few people around me who think I'm absolutely bonkers for doing playing hockey anyway, like I'm the wrong kind of person for it. I get what they mean now, but I really like it. So I think I may well take up my mum's suggestion and insure my hands, just because that feels like a very sensible option at the moment. But yeah, it is definitely getting better. Luckily, it wasn't broken. I was amazed that it wasn't broken considering how swollen it got, Joanne, honestly. But it was just really bad bruising, had x-rays and all that kind of thing. And yeah, so I'm just waiting for the swelling to go down. I can't bend it as much as usual, but so gripping things like knitting needles and pens is not great, but I can pick stuff up and cutlery is not too bad. So I'm hoping that in a week or so it will be properly matching the other one. So yeah, let's hope. Um, or sport is very bad for us. I can see why you would say that. I mean, I have actually I did break a finger playing netball once. I caught it awkwardly. And then I think another time at university playing netball, somehow, I don't know, this is another practice session. It never happens in matches. Somehow had my eye poked or just vaguely eyelid gouged a little bit, who's someone who claimed that she was going for the ball. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's interesting and nice to get out and do something completely different from what I would normally do, at least. But yeah, practice with men will make you a much stronger. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to being a stronger player. The feet, the legs are there. I can outrun them. It's just the getting the hands working. But apparently, I have a very difficult stick. It doesn't have as much of a bow in it as it should. And I suppose this is what you get for paying about 10 quid for one at Sports Direct. The next one that I get will be from Grays and it will have a bow in it. And hopefully that will just make all the skills easier. But hmm, yeah, that might have to be for next season. I think season finishes for us in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, I have time to settle in and do the toe-to-toe nonsense to get my hands as good as my feet. But yeah, it is fun. I'm sad that I'm not going to tonight actually. It's yeah, I've been really enjoying the routine, but never mind. Never mind. Um, yeah. So yes, that's hockey. That's the thumb. Um, I had one more thing to show you. I'm going to keep on with this with the screen sharey stuff just while I can still do it. Um, because, yeah, why not? So what did we do? So I did the grading one. I did the fabric and patterns one. So this one is 10 techniques for garment construction. I think that's the last one that I can show that is near finished. So let's go for that. And yeah, so yeah, the front page and whatnot is much the same. And I'll whip through, I'll stop at the contents page first. And so we've got um, basting, stay stitching, pressing, grading seams, clipping corners and curves. That's two in there. I just put them one after the other. So that it doesn't that is 10. I know there's nine listed. Understitching, e-stitching, edge stitching, and top stitching. So that list is there just because those are the techniques that I feel like are transferable from project to project to project. It doesn't matter what you're making, you're going to be doing pretty much all of those within a dressmaking project. So I thought it'd be nice to give them some treatment in their own right. Because in the instructions, again, this is based on students that I had for my course. The instructions will obviously tell you whether you need to understitch or top stitch or edge stitch and whatnot. But having a bit of useful knowledge about them in their own right as techniques can, I think it helps people because there'll be times definitely when you make clothes that you go off piste and you want to do things in your own way anyway. I know I've got, for example, I've got my favorite way of putting in inseam pockets. I've got my favorite way of putting in a zip. I have a favorite way of doing a fly zip and what have you. And same thing with these kinds of techniques as well. So people who are learning to sew clothes in their own white following patterns, but also another group that find it helpful is pattern cutters. And I just wanted to write something about this on that first on the intro page here because with pattern cutting courses, they don't you just do the creative pattern cutting, you just do the design work. As far as the garment construction stuff is concerned, you don't really get a lot of support with that typically because that's how it is in industry. You just make sure the pattern has integrity and then it gets passed on down the chain. Whereas if you're doing stuff on your own and drafting your own patterns, it can be a bit annoying or a bit of a faff to have to look up different techniques and whatnot because you're designing it and you're going to make it yourself. It's not going to be given to a machinist to do for you. And just having some of these kinds of things in your back pocket, this is one of the longer ones, so I'm just whipping through a lot, is going to be really helpful, I think. So it just means that you're not stuck there getting lots of different sewing patterns in order to find the best technique for your design and whatnot. And I think one of the things that kind of gets lost with creative pattern cutting when you do it is that the garment construction process is creative in itself, in that you've got your design. Yes, the pieces come together, but also the way that you put them together, the order of work or the assembly and whatnot, that's going to vary according to how you want it to be finished. And it's hard to put that in a PDF, and it's something that is probably best considered in person or at least in a more interactive way. But this is something that is going to be handy specifically for garment construction if you're drafting patterns and also just clothes making in general. So yeah, that's a little side project that I wanted to do to help support the one-to-ones and the other courses that I do in real life. That, well, because they're in person, I don't talk about them too much. Probably more than I probably to talk about them more than I should, sorry. But yes, yeah, yeah, I just thought I would do these. So yes. Okay, I'm gonna go to the chat. I can see it jumping. I'm gonna have a quick look down here. Type of stick head will depend on your position. A decent salesperson should know. Oh yeah, I yeah. Show me a salesperson. All I'm gonna have to come over to Dublin, and we're gonna have to go shopping together. To be honest, because I have been asking people at the club, and I've noticed that a lot of them go to a place called Grace. Um, and obviously the sticks are not all the same. But I have been put in the forward position just because I'm just used to going after things and attacking generally. That's just my mentality when I play sport. Sorry, dust in the eye, I beg your pardon. Um, and so I'm up front, um, supposedly scoring the goals when I get the ability to do it. Um, and so what I what my coach or my sensei, as I lovingly call him, pointed out to me last week was that I should get a stick that had more of a bow in it. But I'm going to have to grill them a bit more. This is the problem when you're new to something and you're amongst people who've been playing for decades and can do all sorts of fancy pants things and are really clever and have ironed all this stuff out. I suppose it's like me having to be really aware that I've been making clothes for donkeys and trying to remind myself of what it was like when I was a beginner and was I a beginner like people who are learning as an adult, that kind of empathy. So I really need to pin them down a bit more. You're right. Um, but I might see if they have a phone number. Hopefully, people can still have resources to man phones. I hope. It is getting a sale after all. So, yeah, I'll get on their case. But no, thank you, Orla. Um, Oh yeah, also, oh thank you on the PDFs. Thank you. I'm glad both of you think they're really good. Been in a little bit of a sort of vacuum just working on this quietly. Um, and oh Joanne, yes, I remember quite a few people struggled with the yeah, this is a thing. And it was the same thing when I was working at Morley, actually, Joanne, with the sewing aspect, because you get the whole technical drawing side of things. It's really easy to pick up the tools, how to use the pattern master or set square, the all blah blah blah. You kind of got those motor skills for that. But then the construction, I mean, what we did there was just get as far as making up the toile in calico. And obviously truing the pattern, making sure it works, and then seeing how it looks in calico. But then after that, when you come to do it in the actual, dress fabric or just like a toile, that kind of thing, it was a bit, well, now what? It's nice that the pieces come together, but then you actually want to get something wearable out of it. And it was never really resolved, actually. It was, and the course was already a term long, I think. I think it was about, let's say it was 12 weeks total. And then you had, say, nine-ish or no more than 10 on the um, techniques for whatever block or whatnot we were working on for that term. And then for the last 2 or 3 weeks, it was you designing your own stuff. But that's not really long enough to get a design down and trued and then ready to sew up. You kind of need maybe another half term, perhaps, to at least get a toile done in proper fabric. And it never came. Um, I don't, I, I don't know. I keep going back to the fact that a lot of these courses are just designed for what's the job in industry. Whereas when you're doing adult education courses, you kind of need to have it in a bit more of a sort of vertical setup. Do you know what I mean? One person doing all the things, whereas university is totally different. Um, you are basically grooming people for industry, and some of them might well go on to have their own businesses, but chances are as they grow, someone else is going to be doing these jobs, and you just need to understand enough about them to communicate with your colleagues. So Yeah, I think it's that kind of hangover. But yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not much time at all. Um, it's I don't know. I don't think anything is has changed. I mean, sometimes I dip in and have a look at course listings and they haven't changed the format of it at all. And so what I would like to do in real life is to try and bring them together, just reduce the class numbers because we had to take up to 14 people, and that just made it absolute carnage sometimes if you had a class. Um, but if I say have 6 people, and I think in that same time frame, 12 weeks, that is a bit more doable at the very least. Because, yeah, you want to not just do the pattern, you want to get the whole thing out as well. But yeah, it's definitely something that I wanted to do more of. It's a connection that is kind of lost because with knit, and it could be because knitting is and crochet as well. I know you crochet, Joanne. Is more of a constructed textile. Both of those, you're kind of in the thick of it as well as far as the making's concerned. You're not just, you know, pulling some numbers together and calculating stitches and what have you. Of course, you're going to make it. You can't just cut fabric out. Whereas, and I guess probably the short of what I'm trying to say is it's the well, crafts. It's all the crafts. I don't know. Knitting and crochet, they haven't been as industrialized as say sewing has. And so there's those things have not been broken up. The pattern cutting teacher that I had at London College of Fashion, I mean, she was old school and I absolutely loved her for it. And she liked the fact that I knitted because she came up at a time when fashion designers were also pattern cutters. So they could actually realize their own designs. Whereas now, if you do a fashion design course, you're much more likely to be doing something about conceptualization and illustration and things like that. And, you know, being able to illustrate the garments accurately is, I want to be glib and say a nice to have, but you don't need to have any deep knowledge of fashion at all. It's just, you just need to be able to produce a flat or working drawing that you can then pass on to a pattern cutter who's actually going to do the proper design work. And yeah, you get really detached from it nowadays. Whereas before, with the teacher that I had, she was doing all of that herself, you know, coming up with the ideas, sketching them, and then doing the patterns. So it was much more integrated, and you needed to have that much more knowledge for it. Whereas now it's all just broken up completely. And I think with that, and again, I suspect that this is the case. Sometimes I do some research on Google, and a lot of people ask, what is pattern cutting? Because I can see why, because the name doesn't really tell you that it's fashion design in the way that I think a lot of people are thinking about it. But yeah, a lot of that knowledge and understanding of how designing clothes works has been lost, I think, on the sewing side. Um, Not that it's a one-woman mission to redress that, um, amend that situation, but I might try, see who's listening. You never know. But yeah, so all that as a self-taught novice on both stitching and pattern job. Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm glad you like it all. Yeah, and yeah, she was an amazing teacher, Joanne. Lovely. I think she's definitely retired now. Yeah, as it happened, I mean, the person she learned from rather, who was one of the like dads of the fashion of London College of Fashion was Martin Schoben, who invented the Pattern Master. He was at London College of Fashion for ages, gone long before I was there. But he is still working. I've just seen that someone else that I used to work with has now sort of gone into partnership with him. Instagram is good for things sometimes, and I was just like, oh my gosh, Granddad's here. Um, Granddad's here. I'm an idiot. Yes, but no, the end-to-end experience, it did make her a really good teacher because it kind of, you could ask her anything, and that's really hard to find now. People like that were like early baby boomers. I'm pretty sure she was born like late 1940s-ish or something like that. Because I don't think she wasn't quite. I think she was looking forward to retirement when I met her, and this was oh blimey, in the 2010s. Yeah, I know she's absolutely retired now. But yeah, people like that are really hard to find now. One person who is still there of that generation is my ex-colleague friend Linda Powell. She's still at Morley College and she used to have her own label and whatnot. So she has that kind of understanding of how it goes from end to end, as you put it. That's such a nice, concise way. Why didn't I think of putting it like that when I was yapping? Yeah, so she had that kind of background. But yeah, it's very hard to find people like that now. Um, and I do think people are still interested. It's just where are they and how to communicate with them as well. So I'll put these digital things out and see what happens. And hopefully, people will kind of know what to look for, what to ask, and what have you. So yeah, I'm glad you both like them. Yeah, bit slightly impromptu. I did have an idea that I might show them, but completely riffing today. Um, so gosh, this tea is going to be cold. Anyway, um, yeah, trying to think, do I have any other treats that I could share? Hmm, I'll have a think. No, I don't. No, that's all of them. The glossary is not going to be interesting to show you. I mean, I could, but it's fine. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think I've vaguely run out of steam. My tea has gone cold. This cold tea is disgusting, but I'm committed. I made it. As Magnus Magnusson used to say on Mastermind, I've started, so I'll finish. So, going back in. But yeah. So, yeah. Well, thank you. Really happy that you both came along. Two people that I know. I'm very happy and comfortable to be chatting with. Um, I get the feeling that other people are going to tune in later to see what on earth they might have been in for. But more seriously, I am not sure if I clarified that it was 3 o'clock UK time. Um, gosh, when I sent out the newsletter last week, rather than I think people will assume it's their own time zone rather than mine. But yeah, I could have clarified that a bit more. But anyway, um, so yeah, um, thank you so much for keeping me company during this little tech experiment. I think where I went wrong today was trying to schedule it and then join. And I think what I need to do is what ended up working here with Zoom because YouTube lied. It let me down. So yeah. So I don't know when the next one will be. I will try to do it, say maybe monthly-ish. I don't know. But yeah, it has been fun. I'm a lot less nervous now. And I can figure out how to go live. So yeah, thank you both very much for coming. Um, if you're watching on replay, thanks for watching the replay. Appreciated. And yeah, I will see you soon. Oh, thanks. Glad you enjoyed it all. There's a bit of a time lag here. Um, so yeah, I will see you both soon. All right. Take care.